When the camera light blinked red, I knew it was finally time to tell the truth. Not the kind of truth that gets polished for views or edited into a perfect thumbnail, but the kind that shatters illusions. The kind that burns. I sat beside my husband, Ryan, on our familiar beige couch, the one our subscribers knew so well. Behind us, the framed quote read, "Family is forever." I had chosen that print years ago, back when I still believed in it. Ryan smiled wide for the livestream, that same easy grin that used to melt me. "Hey, perfect fam. Welcome back to another Sunday question and answer." His voice was bright, practiced. To anyone watching, we were just another couple in love, answering questions from fans about our dream marriage. But my hands were trembling beneath the coffee table, hidden from the camera's view. In my lap was his other phone, the one I wasn't supposed to know about. As he introduced the video, I kept my eyes on the glowing comments scrolling up the screen. "You two are goals. Can't wait to see the baby update. How do you stay so happy together?" My throat ached with the weight of it. Because by the time this livestream ended, they wouldn't be calling us goals anymore. They'd be watching a lie unravel, life. Before all of this, our lives were simple. Or at least they looked that way. When Ryan first suggested starting a family vlog, I thought it was harmless. A way to document our lives, maybe earn a little extra income. He'd been laid off from his marketing job and I was teaching part-time at the community center. We weren't desperate, but the bills were getting heavier each month. At first, filming together was sweet. We'd record weekend picnics, baking fails, little pranks. Our daughter Ella was 3 then, shy but full of giggles. She loved waving at the camera and saying, "Hi, perfect fam." It was our thing. Ryan was a natural on camera. He knew how to make everything look effortless. How to tilt the camera just right so the light hit his face, how to time his jokes so the comments section exploded with laughter. He made me feel like we were part of something big. Soon the channel took off. Within a year we had over 100,000 subscribers. Sponsors reached out, family travel, meal kits, baby brands. Ryan was thrilled. He said, "Babe, we're building a legacy. People look up to us." But as our audience grew, so did the pressure. Suddenly everything had to be curated. The meals, the outfits, the smiles. I'd wake up early to make the kitchen spotless before filming. If Ella threw a tantrum, we'd cut the camera and start over. Ryan would say, "Our viewers want positivity, not chaos." I used to laugh at that. But slowly I started realizing that even off camera he wanted the same thing. The appearance of perfection. He'd snap at me if I wore sweatpants in a vlog. He'd sigh when I forgot my lines during our sponsored segments. And when I suggested taking a break, he said, "Do you want us to lose everything we've built?" So I smiled. Every day I smiled. Through exhaustion, through arguments, through that aching sense that something in our marriage was becoming staged. Our love started to feel like another video we had to edit carefully. The first clue wasn't dramatic. It was almost invisible. A small shift, like a shadow creeping across a sunny wall. One evening, Ryan came home late from what he called a brand meeting. He smelled faintly of cologne I didn't recognize. Something deeper, woodier. When I asked, he brushed it off. "Oh, the guys were trying samples for a new men's scent sponsor." I didn't think much of it. Not yet. But then the late nights became more frequent. "Just meetings," he'd say, waving his phone with a smirk. "We're finally getting serious offers, babe." His tone was casual, but his phone, it was never out of his sight. Even when he showered, he'd take it with him. I told myself not to snoop. I wanted to be the trusting wife. I told myself he was working hard for us, for Ella, for our future. Then one afternoon while he was editing in the office, I brought him coffee. His phone was on the desk, screen glowing with a notification. I didn't mean to read it, but my eyes caught a name. "Can't wait to see you again, R." No last name. Just an emoji, a red heart. When I looked up, Ryan had already noticed my expression. He quickly grabbed the phone and locked it. "Private messages, babe," he said lightly, though his smile was tight. "It's a collab thing. Don't overthink." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But something cold had started to bloom in my chest. That night, while editing a vlog about our date night, I couldn't stop replaying that moment. His eyes. the flicker of panic, the way his hand trembled just slightly before he forced another smile. The next few days I tried to convince myself it was paranoia. We filmed a morning routine video together, laughing, teasing, brushing teeth side by side. But when I watched the playback later, I noticed how distant his gaze was when he looked at me. Like he was performing love, not feeling it. And then, a week later, it happened, the moment I could no longer ignore the truth. I found his second phone. It was in the glove compartment of his car, wrapped in an old hoodie. The battery was almost dead, but when I turned it on, the lock screen glowed with a photo. Him holding another woman. She was younger, glamorous, and smiling like she had everything she ever wanted. My fingers went numb. I didn't open any messages. I didn't scroll. I just sat there in the driver's seat with the air conditioning humming faintly, staring at that photo until my chest hurt. And in that quiet, suffocating space, I realized something terrifying. I didn't know who my husband really was anymore. That night I didn't confront him. I cooked dinner like usual. Pasta with too much garlic because he always complained but ate it anyway. Alice sat in her high chair, humming to herself and playing with her noodles. The kitchen light flickered a little, like it couldn't decide whether to stay bright or dim. Ryan walked in late again. He kissed my cheek, a quick, distracted brush that didn't reach his eyes. He smelled faintly of that same cologne. "Sorry, babe. Long meeting," he said, slipping off his jacket. "How was your day?" "Fine," I said quietly, stirring the pot though it was already off the heat. I watched him pour himself a drink. The way his shoulders relaxed, the easy confidence in his movements. It made me wonder how many times he'd done the same thing somewhere else with someone else watching. When Ella went to bed, I stood at the kitchen sink, pretending to rinse dishes while he scrolled on his phone. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask him who she was. But some instinct told me not to, not yet. Because I needed proof. So I waited. The next few days I started watching him differently. Not as his wife but as someone studying a stranger. His laughter came too easily. His phone was always on silent now. And every time I mentioned planning new vlog content, he'd find an excuse to delay. He said he was rebranding, that we needed more authenticity. The irony wasn't lost on me. It was a Tuesday afternoon when everything clicked into place. He was in the shower and I was folding laundry on the bed. His usual phone buzzed on the nightstand, a text from his brother asking about a family barbecue. I picked it up, meaning to reply. But when I did, another phone buzzed. The second one. Hidden under his pillow. My hands were shaking as I unlocked it. Same passcode as his main one, of course. Typical arrogance. The screen opened to a message thread with a contact saved as M with red heart emoji. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. M's message popped up first. Light, excited. "Can't wait to see you tonight. The place looks amazing. You always know how to surprise me." Then Ryan's reply, smooth as ever. "You deserve it. Just don't post anything yet. You know how crazy my fans are." And then hers again, "Don't worry. Our little secret." I felt the room tilt. There were photos, dozens of them. Him and her in a modern apartment, sleek white furniture and expensive lighting. In one he was kissing her forehead. In another she was wearing one of his hoodies, my husband's hoodie, laughing like she belonged there. And then I saw the video. A short clip of them toasting wine glasses. Her voice was light, teasing. "To our future Mr. and Mrs. Carter." Mrs. Carter. My maiden name is Lewis. That meant he had proposed to her. He had an entirely different life. A different name, a different story. For a moment I couldn't breathe. The world felt muted, like all sound had drained away except the quiet buzz of the phone in my hand. When Ryan stepped out of the shower, towel around his waist, I couldn't even look at him. I handed him the phone wordlessly. He froze. His face drained of color. "Where did you get that?" he whispered. I didn't answer. He reached for it, but I pulled my hand back. My voice came out calm. Too calm even for me. "I found it. And now I know everything." He rubbed his face, pacing, muttering, "You don't understand, Claire. It's complicated." Complicated. I laughed, a brittle sound. "You proposed to her. You have an apartment. You lived two lives, Ryan. He sat down on the bed, burying his head in his hands. It wasn't supposed to go this far. It was just. Just what? I snapped. A marketing experiment? Backup plan? Tell me what part of this isn't betrayal. He looked up, eyes red. You know how much pressure I'm under. The sponsors, the expectations. You barely even liked filming anymore. I had to find something that made me feel alive again. Alive. That word echoed through me like a slap. And she does that for you? I whispered. He didn't answer. That silence told me everything. I walked out before he could say another word. Locked myself in the bathroom and sat on the cold tile floor, my body trembling uncontrollably. From the other side of the door I heard his voice, broken, desperate. Claire, please. Don't do anything stupid. We can fix this. I'll end it. Just don't ruin us. Don't ruin us. The hypocrisy almost made me laugh. Because he'd already done that, perfectly, thoroughly, and on camera for the world to see. That night I didn't sleep. Instead I watched our old vlogs. All those smiling faces, matching pajamas, happy couple challenges. Thousands of comments about how in love we looked. And then as dawn light spilled through the curtains, something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't even going to cry anymore. I was going to end the lie, the same way it began. On camera. The plan came together slowly. I waited a week pretending things were fine. Ryan, thinking I had forgiven him, slipped back into his usual routine. Filming, editing, posting. He even joked one morning, the fans think we're a couple goals again. Can you believe it? I smiled faintly. Yeah. They'll be surprised soon enough. He didn't catch the tone. When the weekend came, we set up for our usual Sunday live questions and answers. Elle was with my sister, thankfully. I made sure of that. Before we went live, I placed the second phone, his phone, under a small cloth on the table beside me, within reach but out of sight. My hands were steady now. My voice calm. I'd spent enough time pretending. This time I was going to show them the real story. The red light on the camera blinked on, and just like that, the show began. Ryan leaned forward, that familiar host-like charm flickering back into place. Hey, perfect fam. Welcome back. We've missed you guys. Today's live questions and answers is going to be special. We're answering all your juiciest questions about marriage, love, and keeping the spark alive. His grin was flawless. Every movement rehearsed, every glance timed. I smiled too. But mine felt heavy, forced. A smile that belonged to someone who'd already made peace with the wreckage ahead. The chat exploded with heart emojis and comments. You guys are literally goals. Can you adopt me, please? I hope my marriage looks like this someday. I let my eyes skim over the words, each one slicing a little deeper. They saw perfection. I saw a stranger. I waited for him to start talking. He always did. Ryan loved controlling the narrative. And as he spoke about communication being key, my eyes drifted to his hands. Confident. Relaxed. As if they hadn't held another woman just days ago. When it was my turn to answer a question, I leaned closer to the mic and said softly, actually, that's a good topic. Honesty in marriage. Ryan chuckled. Oh, you're going deep today. Maybe, I said, keeping my tone even. I just think people deserve to know what honesty really looks like. The chat lit up. Spill the tea. Oh, serious topic. Ryan gave a half laugh. Careful, babe. You're gonna scare our sponsors. He thought I was joking. He didn't know I was about to burn the whole stage down. I glanced toward the table, my fingers brushing the edge of the cloth covering the second phone. The weight of it was almost electric. The truth waiting to be shown. So, I continued, a lot of people think our marriage is perfect. But that's the problem, isn't it? Perfection doesn't exist. Sometimes it's just really good acting. Ryan froze slightly. Just a flicker. His eyes darted to mine, searching for playfulness. I gave him none. Claire, he said quietly, his smile tightening. What are you doing? Answering honestly, I said. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed steady, almost too calm. Like you always tell our viewers to do. The chat began to slow, confusion replacing excitement. Wait, what's happening? Is this scripted? Ryan looks nervous. He laughed nervously. Okay, let's not make the fans think we're fighting. I pulled the second phone from beneath the cloth. The room went silent. Even the soft hum of the lights seemed to fade. What's that? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Your other phone, I said. The one you keep in your car. His eyes widened, panic flaring behind the fake smile he tried to hold on to. Claire, not here, he muttered, leaning closer. Turn off the camera. But I didn't. Instead, I looked straight into the lens. You all see us as this happy couple. The family that makes you believe in love, in commitment, in forever. But behind the thumbnails and edited laughter, there's something darker. Ryan reached to shut the laptop, but I caught his wrist. No, Ryan. You said you wanted transparency. Let's be transparent. The comments were flying now, hundreds per second. What is she talking about? This is uncomfortable. Is this real? I unlocked the second phone, my hands unnervingly calm. I found this a week ago. And inside I found another life. Photos, messages, a woman who thinks she's marrying him next month. Ryan stood abruptly. Claire, stop. You're ruining everything we've built. I rose too, matching his height, my voice still quiet. You already ruined it. I'm just showing them the truth. He looked at the camera, his facade cracking. Guys, don't believe this. My wife's been under a lot of stress. You know how social media can mess with your head. Stop gaslighting me on air, I said sharply. The chat exploded. She said gaslighting? What the hell is happening? We're witnessing a divorce live. OMG. Ryan's jaw tightened. Claire, I swear to God, turn that off right now. But instead I played the video from his phone, the one of him and her toasting wine glasses. Her laughter filled the speakers, crystal clear, echoing through our perfect little set. To our future Mr. and Mrs. Carter. The words lingered in the silence that followed. Ryan's face went pale. His hand fell to his side, trembling. The comments section went wild. Thousands pouring in, disbelief turning to fury. No way, that's him? I can't believe this. She deserves better. Unsubscribe. Wow. I turned to him, my voice barely a whisper. You built our brand on honesty and love, Ryan. You told families to trust us. And all this time you were living a lie. He sank back onto the couch, staring blankly at the camera. Claire, please. Don't do this here. I sat beside him, folding my hands in my lap. This is the only place to do it. You used our family to build an image. I'm just reclaiming my voice. He exhaled shakily, tears welling. I made a mistake. A stupid, selfish mistake. But can we talk off camera? Please. I shook my head. No. Because off camera is where all the lies happened. This, I gestured at the lens, is the only time you ever tell the truth. To them. Not to me. He broke then. His hands covered his face as the chat continued to pour in. His voice cracked when he whispered, I didn't want to hurt you. I stared at him for a long time, the man I had once loved now exposed to millions. I know, I said quietly. That's what makes it worse. You didn't want to hurt me, but you didn't mind destroying us. I turned to the camera one last time. My voice softened, heavy with sadness rather than rage. To everyone watching, I don't know what you'll think of me after this. Maybe you'll call me dramatic or crazy or cruel. But I spent years showing you a fake version of our life. You deserved to know the truth. So this is me finally being real. I ended the stream with a single click. The room was silent except for the sound of Ryan's quiet sobs. When I finally stood, I felt strangely weightless, as if all the pretending had been peeled off, leaving nothing but honesty behind. I walked out without looking back. The morning after the live stream, I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating endlessly on the nightstand. First, I didn't move. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, the events of the night before replaying in my mind. Ryan's pale face, the silence after the video, the flood of comments, the single red light blinking until it faded to black. When I finally reached for my phone, the notifications were endless. Mentions, tags, news alerts. Our family vlog wasn't just trending, it was everywhere. Hashtag perfect fam exposed. Hashtag Claire tells the truth. Hashtag double life husband. The world had found its next scandal. I opened one video compilation someone had already posted. Clips of me during the live stream, eyes steady and voice calm, contrasted with Ryan's panicked face. Someone had added dramatic music. Another version had memes already. The internet wastes no time turning heartbreak into entertainment. But between the noise I saw messages that made me stop. You're so brave for speaking up. I went through the same thing. Thank you for showing the truth. You deserve peace, not perfection. They weren't all cruel. Some saw me. Really saw me. So my heart felt hollow. There's no victory in exposing someone you once loved. Only ashes where trust used to be. By noon, Ryan's sponsors had started pulling out. His inbox, the one we shared for brand deals, was flooded with cancellations. When he finally called, I didn't answer. Then came the texts. Please, Claire. Can we just talk privately? You've ruined everything. I lost all my deals. My manager quit. You made your point. Now stop before this destroys both of us. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Because the truth was, I didn't want to destroy him. I wanted to stop being destroyed by him. A few days later, I agreed to meet him. We met at the small park where we used to film our early vlogs. Back when we were just two broke dreamers with a secondhand camera and a toddler who thought the world revolved around bubbles. He looked different now, tired, older somehow. The confident glow that once surrounded him was gone. When he saw me, he smiled faintly. You look good, he said. Considering what? I asked, my tone quiet but firm. He sighed, shoving his hands into his jacket pockets. I've been staying with my brother. The internet's torn me apart. Sponsors gone, followers dropping. I get death threats now, Claire. I looked away, the guilt and pain twisting inside me. You think I wanted that? He shrugged. You didn't stop it either. Ryan, I said softly, you built your career on lies. What did you think would happen when the truth came out? He rubbed his temples. I was going to tell her. Things. I just needed time. I met his eyes. You always say that. I just needed time. But you had years, Ryan. Years to choose honesty. For a long while, neither of us spoke. The sound of children playing in the distance filled the silence. Finally, he whispered, I loved you. I still do. I wanted to believe him, but the words landed like dust. Maybe you did, I said. But not enough to protect what we had. He nodded slowly. So what now? I move on, I said simply. And you face the truth you spent years hiding. He exhaled shakily. And the channel? I smiled sadly. The perfect fam is gone. But maybe someday I'll start something new, something real. When I turned to leave, he didn't stop me. Just watched, silent, as I walked away from the park, from the ghost of our once perfect life. The weeks that followed were strange. Some nights, I'd wake up to new interviews and reaction videos dissecting my every expression. Some people called me a hero. Others called me cruel. But in the quieter moments, when Ella was asleep and the world finally hushed, I'd sit by the window and feel something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. No camera lights. No rehearsed smiles. Just me and my own breath, steady and real. Then one morning I received an email from a woman named Melissa. Subject line, you don't know me, but I owe you my life. She was the fiancée, the other woman. In her message, she apologized. She said she hadn't known about me or Ella. Ryan had told her he was divorced, that I'd taken everything and left. She believed him. They'd been planning their wedding quietly, saving money to move to Los Angeles. When she saw the live stream, she said it broke her, but also freed her. You saved me from marrying a liar, she wrote. I'm so sorry for the pain I was part of. I hope one day you find someone who gives you the same honesty you gave the world. I cried reading that. Not because I felt vindicated, but because it reminded me that lies don't just ruin one life. They ripple outward, touching everyone nearby. And sometimes truth, no matter how painful, can stop the ripple. One evening, my sister came over with Ella. She brought dinner, real food, not something for the camera. Ella climbed into my lap, holding a crayon drawing. Mommy, it's us, she said proudly. You and me and the sun. In the picture there were only two figures. Me and her. No camera. No dad. Just sunlight. I kissed her forehead, whispering, "It's beautiful, baby. Just perfect." For the first time in a long while, I realized how much lighter life felt without pretending. That night I opened my laptop and went to our old channel. The banner still read, "The Perfect Fam, Where Love Lives." I hovered over the delete button for a long time, my fingers trembling slightly. Then I clicked it. The screen went blank, and with it the version of me who had lived for everyone else's approval. I opened a new page. Typed slowly. Channel name, Perfectly Human. Description, no filters. No lies. Just life. Messy, real, and ours. I hit save, then sat back, exhaling deeply. It wasn't revenge anymore. It was rebirth. It took months for the noise to fade. At first I couldn't go anywhere without someone recognizing me. At the grocery store, the park, even the post office. Some people whispered. Others smiled with pity. A few offered quiet support. But slowly the storm quieted. The internet moved on as it always does. New scandals replaced ours. The hashtags stopped trending. And for the first time in years I could walk outside without wondering how I looked through a lens. That's when healing began, not in some big cinematic way but in small ordinary moments. Like cooking breakfast without filming it. Or hearing Ella's laugh and not thinking that would make a good clip. Or waking up in a messy bed and not caring because it was mine, and real. I started working again at the community center. Teaching kids art classes like I used to before all of this began. There was something almost sacred about watching children paint, how they mixed colors freely without worrying if it was perfect. One afternoon a little girl asked, "Miss Claire, are you famous?" I smiled. "I used to be," I said. "But now I'm just happy." She nodded, satisfied, and went back to her painting. In that moment I realized how much I'd missed simplicity, how fame had made me forget the quiet, gentle parts of life that don't need an audience. Ryan tried reaching out a few more times. Once he even showed up at the community center parking lot waiting by my car. He looked lost, thinner, eyes hollowed by sleepless nights. "I just wanted to apologize," he said softly. I crossed my arms, not with anger but with distance. "Ryan, you don't owe me words anymore. Just honesty. With yourself." He nodded. "I'm in therapy now. I needed to face it." I believed him, or at least I wanted to. "Good," I said. "Do it for Ella. She still needs a father who's present, not perfect." He nodded again, tears in his eyes. "Thank you." And for the first time since everything fell apart I felt no bitterness. Only release. One Sunday morning about 6 months later I sat on the porch with my laptop open. Ella was napping inside, sunlight streaming across her little blanket. I'd been thinking about restarting something online. But different. Something that told the truth, not the illusion. So I clicked record. No makeup. No fancy lighting. Just me, my coffee, and the quiet hum of birds outside. "Hi," I said, voice steady but soft. "If you remember me from before, you probably know a lot has changed. I used to run a channel called The Perfect Fam. But what I learned is that perfect isn't real. Life isn't always smiles and routines and happy music. Sometimes it's betrayal, heartbreak, and rebuilding yourself piece by piece." I took a breath. This isn't going to be a family vlog. It's going to be something different. Maybe about single motherhood or healing or just being human. I don't have a plan. I just have honesty. I paused, thinking of all the women who had messaged me, the ones still stuck in curated relationships, smiling for photos while their hearts were breaking. "If you're watching this," I said, "and you've ever felt like you're living someone else's version of happiness, I want you to know you can step out of it. It's terrifying. But freedom always is." I ended the video there. No dramatic music. No outro. Just truth. That night I uploaded it to my new channel, Perfectly Human. Within hours comments began to appear. "Thank you for being real. This hit me hard. I'm living this right now." Finally, someone said it. They weren't fans. They were people. Real people connecting with honesty. And for once I didn't feel like a character in someone else's story. I felt like myself. A few weeks later, I took Ella to the ocean for the first time since the split. The wind was sharp, the waves loud, but her laughter rose above it all. She ran ahead, her little feet sinking into the wet sand. "Mommy, look," she yelled, pointing at the water. "It's erasing my footprints." I smiled. "That's what the ocean does, baby. It makes space for new ones." She giggled, running back to leave fresh prints behind. And as I watched her, I realized that's exactly what I was doing. Erasing old marks, making room for something new. Maybe that's what healing really is. Not forgetting, not pretending it never happened, but learning to walk again even when the ground still feels soft and uncertain. That night, after Ella fell asleep, I wrote a journal entry, something I hadn't done in years. I used to think exposure was revenge. Now I understand it was liberation. The truth didn't destroy me, it freed me. Maybe the real lesson wasn't about betrayal or punishment. Maybe it was about courage. The courage to stop performing and start living. I closed the notebook, feeling the quiet hum of peace in my chest. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that just is. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through the curtains. My phone buzzed. A notification from Perfectly Human. The video had crossed 500,000 views overnight. But unlike before, that number didn't fill me with adrenaline. It just made me smile. Because this time it wasn't about being seen. It was about being understood. I don't really know when the story ended. Maybe it didn't. Maybe stories like this don't have clear endings. Just quiet moments when you finally stop fighting the past and start listening to your heart again. Because even now, when I wash the dishes or fold Ella's tiny clothes, memories of the old life flicker through my mind. The lights, the laughter, the illusion. And for a second I feel that old ache again, the ache of pretending. But then I look around my home, smaller, quieter, messy in the most human way, and I realize something. This is peace. Not the kind that's picture perfect. Not the kind you can filter or monetize. But the kind that hums softly in the background of an honest life. Sometimes people message me asking, "Claire, do you regret exposing him like that?" And my answer is always the same. No. Because it wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. When I hit go live that night, I wasn't trying to destroy him. I was trying to save myself. I was tired of smiling for strangers while dying inside. Tired of raising a child in a house built on lies. People think strength means holding it together. But sometimes strength is knowing when to let everything fall apart. And I did. Spectacularly. Publicly. And somehow, in the rubble of that collapse, I found myself again. There's something strange about the internet. It gives everyone a stage and a mask. You can craft the perfect smile, the perfect family, the perfect story, until you start to believe it's real. But behind every perfect photo, there's someone deleting the ones where they looked too tired. Behind every happy family vlog, there's an argument that got cut before the edit. And behind every loving couple challenge, there might be one person holding back tears just out of frame. I used to be that person. So if you're listening to this and you're tired of pretending, if you feel like you're living inside someone else's script, please hear me when I say, you don't owe the world a performance. You don't owe anyone perfection. You owe yourself peace. After everything, people expected me to be angry forever, to hate him, to post about him, to make my pain my brand. But healing doesn't look like that. Healing looks like learning how to laugh again even when it feels wrong at first. It looks like forgiving not because they deserve it but because you do. It looks like teaching your daughter that love isn't supposed to hurt, that it's supposed to feel safe. And one day when she's older I'll tell her everything. Not to make her hate her father, but to help her understand her mother. Because the truth isn't something I'm ashamed of anymore. Something I live by. A few nights ago, after tucking Ella in, I stood in front of the mirror, the same one where I used to practice camera smiles. I stared at my reflection for a long time. The faint lines around my eyes, the weariness that still lingers. But also something new. Peace. I whispered to myself, "You made it out." And for the first time I truly believed it. You know, life has a funny way of showing us who we are when everything we built falls apart. When the lights turn off and the applause fades and all that's left is you, unfiltered, unpolished, unapologetically real. That's when you meet the person you were always meant to be. And maybe that's the quiet redemption in all of this. That I didn't just lose a husband, I found myself. So if you're still here, still listening to my story, I want to leave you with a question. What mask have you been wearing? The one that tells the world you're fine even when you're breaking? The one that keeps you smiling for people who wouldn't even notice if you cried? Ask yourself, who would you be if you finally took it off? Because sometimes the most courageous thing you can do isn't to fight harder. It's to stop pretending and start living. This is Claire, and that's my story. Not a fairy tale. Not a scandal. Just the truth, raw, imperfect, and finally mine. If you've ever been broken, betrayed, or made to feel like you weren't enough, I hope my story reminds you that you can start over. Even from the ashes of something that once looked perfect. Because the truth doesn't destroy you, it frees you.